print this on just so you can chat with them if you want right before we get started.
Sit over there. Yeah, we're the only ones here. Yeah, we are. Oh.
Hey, thanks. I'm glad we could get both of these meetings done on the same day, and that worked out to get a quorum. So thank you. Sorry that I'm not able to be there in person. My wife tested positive for COVID yesterday, and I've had sniffles and sore throat today. So I figured it's best to not be around other folks.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully both of you are on the light side of it.
We are. Dayquil is getting me through.
Good. So I think it's Jen. Is there anybody else joining us on Zoom?
Travis is on Zoom.
Oh, hey, Travis.
So yeah, you guys before we can start.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we'll move kind of quick through this, Will, so you can get some more NyQuil and flu medicine. I guess we're moving on to business from the audience, and there being no audience tonight, we'll move down our agenda to any corrections or additions.
Chair, there are not.
Thank you, Will. And has everyone here had a chance to review the minutes from our April 18th meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. If so, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes as stated in our packet.
So moved.
And
I'll second.
perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna turn it over to you, Will. Follow along.
Great. Thanks you, Chair Trumbull, members of the advisory committee. So we're on to the second task of the larger project of reviewing, evaluating, and modifying the agency's governance structure, bylaws, operating agreements, kind of all that back-end administrative apparatus. The City Council moved ahead and adopted an ordinance changing the Urban Renewal Agency Board to be the City Council going forward. And that starts at the beginning of calendar year 2025. And so now that the governing board structure has been established, next is a review of the agency's bylaws. The bylaws were last updated in 2012. That was right after the creation of the Heights District, and it was also the action that created this body, the advisory committee. And they have not been updated since. So it was part of the work plan for the agency, and also the work plan for the creation of the new Urban Renewal Administrator to pick these up, dust them off and take a good look at them. There was no, I think, specific policy intent from the agency board. They just wanted to take a look and see if this was still meeting the agency's needs. So there's no specific policy direction. So within that framework, I did, take a close look from top to bottom, and I put some recommendations in my staff report. And I'd say most of these have to do with kind of efficiency, alignment with municipal code, alignment with city practices, kind of matters like that. And so maybe I'll ask, what's the best way to go through them? Should I go one by one and just kind of hit each one of my recommendations for changes, or are there kind of beginning questions before we really dive into it, just about the bylaws in general?
Will, what page in our packet are your recommendations?
Yeah, they start at the bottom of page 7 and then continue on page 8.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I'll let you go ahead and leave now.
Okay. So I'll just start with, I'll just kind of hit them really quick and maybe you know, we can stop and discuss, or if the, you know, where we'd like to get to, I think at the end of this is a recommendation from the advisory committee to the agency board as to what, if any, changes should be made to the bylaws. So first recommendation is to remove the agency board's membership and terms from the bylaws, because that already exists in municipal code. And I think you can see the problem that creates is like the position we're in right now, where the municipal code is what is governing and it has already changed, but we're still looking at the bylaws to change those. And so it's really duplicative and just creates a opportunity for the bylaws and the municipal code to be in conflict if the agency's board membership and terms are in both documents, because the municipal code does supersede, have authority over, if in conflict, municipal code wins over the bylaws. Article 4, Section 3 sets the quorum requirements, and it would allow policy to be moved with as little as 3 votes if there are 5 people at the meeting. That is different from the city, which can hold a meeting as long as there's a majority of the council there, but still needs a minimum of 4 votes, which would be the majority of the full council, to advance policy. And so I would recommend, just to avoid confusion, if the agency board and the city council had the same requirements for of needing to have 4 affirmative votes to pass policy. Just makes us not have to remember that one's different than the other. Let's see, Article 4, Section 6. This requires that resolutions be in writing, which, and I would just maybe suggest adding that all policies need to be in the form of resolution. We've had some policies in the past where it's just been a motion and a second and everyone passed it. And that doesn't really make sense, that we would say resolutions need to be in writing, but you can also just pass things without doing resolution. So I think it makes things kind of more logical and similar if we say policies must be in resolution, resolutions must be in writing. Or else why require resolutions to be in writing if we don't need, you know, if we just pass things by verbal motions. Article 4, Section 7, I would suggest removing the requirement to follow Robert's rules. Everyone kind of generally understands what those are, and that's how we operate our meetings. But it's actually a quirk that bylaws are legally binding, and there's just that hidden potential that if someone wants to challenge something that we did and we didn't exactly follow Robert Rules of Order, and Robert Rules of Order was mandated by our bylaws, then it could be a workaround way to kind of challenge an agency action. So I would suggest taking the requirement to do Robert's Rules out of the bylaws, but still means we can absolutely follow them. The chair can follow them and make sure that meetings are held in that manner. Section 5 or Article 5, Section 2 requires a list of expenditures made since the last meeting be presented for review by the board. That was a practice of the city as well. And I only know that because I've looked in really old meeting minute materials before and saw that they used to have like basically an AP printout that would be in each meeting packet. At least when I joined the city in 2016, both the agency and the city had stopped that practice, and it's really kind of an antiquated, unusual practice that cities don't really do anymore. You know, just the age of P cards and ACHs and all that kind of stuff. So it's not something that we've been following, and I'd suggest we take it out of the bylaws. Article 5, Section 3, that establishes this advisory committee. So if there is any wish or intent to change the structure of this advisory committee, from the 2 things that it sets is that there will be 7 members and that one of the members will be from the Planning Commission. There's a separate resolution that was also passed in 2012 that sets the purpose of the advisory committee, kind of what your role is and all that kind of stuff. And we'll address that later, but the membership of 7 and the 1 planning commissioner. That is set in these bylaws. And so if we want to address that aspect of the advisory committee, we would need to do it now at this stage. Article 6, I would suggest adding that overhead charges for administrative support be calculated on the same basis as city departments. Right now, and well, I'm sure we're going to talk about this when we get into the budget committee meeting later today. Right now, I am charged to the Urban Renewal Agency General Fund because I'm 100% urban renewal dedicated, but not to any specific district. And so like my charges are in the general fund. But the agency also just pays general overhead services into the administrative to the city. And there's an old IGA, I think it's from 2008, and it actually specified that it should be a percentage of the city manager, a couple other items, plus like direct charge, like people actually like on their time card writing down if they did something that served the agency. That, again, when I joined in 2016 was not the practice. So when I was the finance director, what I did was I took the prior year's administrative services charge and I just changed it for inflation. And so basically we've been pegged to inflation for the administrative services charge since 2016. So we can, I think it's the intent of this process to reevaluate that and maybe recalculate a new methodology. I would suggest the best methodology is just saying we will be charged in the same manner as other departments, because I think if we do set a discrete, unchanged methodology of like certain percentage of this or that or hours or something else of that, it's going to be accurate the first time it's calculated and never again, because we're always changing as an organization. And I think you see that in the contract from 2008 and how out of date and kind of infeasible to follow it was. So if we're just pegged to the same overhead methodology as city departments, it's forever dynamic, it's forever changing, it's forever consistent with how the rest of the city is charged. And at least for the last 6 years, 7 years, how city departments pay their administrative services charge is a 3-year running average of the size of their department budget versus the entire city budget. And then that's the percent that they pay in administrative services charge. And I've actually done that calculation for the agency, and it would roughly equal about what we're paying in administrative services charges right now. So this one is kind of a big one, and we may want to punt it. But I thought it was something we could just knock out in the bylaws if everyone was amenable to it. Just charging the agency in the same manner as city departments. And then last, Article 6 is adding a section authorizing the agency to piggyback on city contracts, just kind of explicitly noting that if something has been gone through a public solicitation by the city, gotten competitive bids, been awarded by the city council, that the agency would be able to take advantage of those same terms and conditions to perform work that it may need or want to do or is budgeted to do without needing to go through a duplicative second solicitation process. So those are just items that came to my mind as I was going through this. Again, we didn't have any specific policy direction from the agency board other than to just take a look at the bylaws with fresh eyes and suggest any updates. So that'll, pass it over to the committee.
For clarification on the last two articles, Article 6, the Urban Renewal Agency now is just City Council, correct? We've taken off the port commissioners?
Correct, effective January 1st, 2025. So the port commissioners are still on there for the next 7 months.
And Will, thank you for doing this. For me, and this is just obviously not suggesting a motion at this time, it looks like we're just cleaning up what we have written in our bylaws for the most part. And in Articles 6, the two items there, we create an annual budget for the Urban Renewal Agency, so there's no expenditures that could be taken out of the urban renewal funds without coming back, even if it was fed back to us, reversed from the agency to the advisory council. City council is not going to vote on something without talking to us about it, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the bylaws are going to give us the direction on how to set up the budget, and then budget will be reviewed and every year by the advisory committee, sitting as one half of the budget committee to review it, make sure it still is correct and a fair allocation, and be approved continually on an annual basis going forward.
Okay, this is just a hypothetical, but let's just say we happen to have like a stormwater issue. It wouldn't be, urban renewal funds wouldn't be used to fix this hypothetical stormwater without being backfed through the advisory council first, would it?
Correct. Yeah. This is only speaking to administrative services charges, which is charges that hit Fund 805 in the city, which is basically where the city manager, the finance director, HR, IT, all that overhead, general administrative overhead expenses sit. That's where the money goes into, and it's for those services. It's would not supplant or go into like the water fund or the sewer fund or the police department fund. The money stays going for administrative services and not city operations.
Okay, those are just my questions. I'm sorry. I'll turn it over to everyone else now.
I think that makes sense to me. Just makes it more efficient and easier to understand and less confusing and less contradicting. So I feel like it's acceptable.
Agreed.
How does our city administrator, our audience, feel about this?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. If there's no more conversation about this, Will has provided us a suggested motion.
Oh, actually, no, I had it in there as just to be developed, but if you just support as is, you could set that as the motion. Approved and recommended as presented, something to that effect.
Okay.
Well, I propose a motion that we approve the recommended amendments to the agency's bylaws as articulated here in our materials.
Second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Hey, thank you, Will. That does make sense, and that's very easy to understand here. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's just items from members, and then we're off.
Yeah.
Sorry that we're gonna have a little break period between the budget committee meeting, but that will start at 6 o'clock.
And then, so any items from the members, from us?
None.
Okay, I'm trying to get my computer to scroll up so I can see my agenda. There it is, skipping a page every time. With our budget meeting here tonight, what is needed from the advisory council?
Yeah, so the advisory council will sit as one half of the agency's budget committee, the other half being the agency board. And so, you're on the budget committee due to your membership in these bodies, but it's important to know that you and the agency board sit as co-equal members, and the budget committee is itself a separate and a distinct body. You have membership in that body because you're on the advisory committee, but when you're sitting on it, you're sitting co-equal with the agency board. I will present the proposed budget, and then it becomes the budget committees, and you can adjust it as you see fit. And then once it's where the budget committee wants it, it will become what's referred to as the approved budget. And then the approved budget will go to the Urban Renewal Agency Board in June. And the Urban Renewal Agency Board is the final yes or no, but they cannot change the budget more than 10% from what you pass as the approved budget tonight. So you really have a lot of power at tonight's meeting to review the proposed budget and make it your budget committee's approved budget.
Do you have anything that you would like to present to the advisory council here that's in the budget before the budget meeting?
No, I think we can save it all for the budget meeting. Again, I'm sorry, we're going to have this little 40-minute break. But we, advertised a time certain for people for the budget committee meeting.
Okay.
Will you let Travis know it's a different Zoom link?
I'm sorry.
Here.
Travis?
Yeah, just let him know it's a different Zoom link. He should have that.
It's a different Zoom link for the next meeting. You should have that as well.
I think I do. I've got several emails here, but I have 2 of them here. Reminder Urban Renewal Advisory, Urban Renewal Budget. So I'm assuming it's that one. Okay.
And Will, you sent a email out to us at noon today with,
I saw that.
open that up here. That was just.
Councillor Saunders and Tina McNerthy had sent in questions, a list of questions, and so I answered them all in one combined document and sent them out to the whole budget committee. That reminds me, I should note that Tina McNerthy and Graham Berg have volunteered from the city budget committee to also sit on the urban renewal budget committee, and that's necessary because there's 9 urban renewal agency board members, but only 7 urban renewal advisory committee members. So every year it's been our practice to take two volunteers from the city budget committee to fill it out and make sure it's an even numbered elected officials and even numbered appointed citizen members. So you'll see Graham and Tina as new faces sitting with you and at 6 o'clock.
If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting.
Great. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.